So I want to share a really useful resource which allows you to create new random retrieval practice questions at the beginning of the lesson every day without having to do any extra work once you've set it all up. So it can save a lot of time. The original spreadsheet was created by Adam Boxer, and then the games were added by another teacher called Scott Alshop. So I can't lay any claim to making this apart from the treasure hunt, and I've also added the background pictures, but you can just get rid of them if you want to print it, for example, by going to page layout and deleting the background, and then you can add your own background there as well. It consists of an Excel spreadsheet, and at the beginning you have to do some work, but only once. So you have to fill in the first sheet here, and you put in all your questions on your answers. So this should work for any subject really, where you have maybe a definition and a word, or a short question and a short answer. So you fill them all in for the whole year, so all the topics you're going to do, even the ones you haven't covered yet. And then at the beginning of the lesson, all you need to do is go to the top here and fill in up to which question you got so far. So let's say at the moment we're doing the topic pets. So I look in my table of content here, so it's 210 to 224. Okay, so that's the one that's already in there. The top one is normally the same as the bottom one, so I've just set it as equal, so you don't need to worry about it. So what this does now is, on any of the other sheets there are different games, and out of the numbers I've chosen up to that question, it will choose random questions. On my version, I've got blue and yellow, which means one is into the language as one is out of the language, but you can also have a version where all of it is the questions and the students then have to give the answer. So there are lots of different activities. The first one here, you could play noughts and crosses with it, or you can play battleships with it, or you could just give the students a grid and say answer all the questions, and you get points for each one you manage to do within 5 minutes. There's also a bigger version of this with more questions at a time. You can play Connect 4. So here, to get it a bit bigger, you go to you highlight the part that you need, so in this case here, then go to view and zoom to selection, and then I've got a bit bigger, and I could minimize the ribbon as well to make it even bigger. So here they can play Connect 4, so team one will start, they drop in their coin, they have to translate this word there, then team 2 might want to block them, and so on. So if you're playing a game like this where you drop in coins or cover the fields, make sure that autosave is off so you don't have to reset it each time. Similar one is Blockbuster, so one team has to go across, one team has to come from the top, or you can play treasure hunt. So here the students will answer one of the questions, and they're allowed to look in this treasure chest, and if there's a green flag they get a point or a reward, and if there's a red cross then they don't. So the great thing is that it is random each time. So if I press F9 on my keyboard, it will randomize the question. So out of all the first 200 questions, or 224 questions, it will choose a random selection, and it always chooses a few more of the current topic. And that's why in the beginning we put in that the start of the current topic is question 210. So it will choose more from between 210 and 224, and I'll fill the rest with all the earlier ones. So that's the retrieval aspect of it, that it mixes old topics, new topics, and it's also testing the students because they have to answer the questions and not just look at them again. So lots of different games. You can have a quiz. There's a few more here as well. Okay, and then once you've set up all your questions in here, you can also use it on Flippity, which is a free website, which is great, and then gives you more games. So you just copy the well, really the whole first sheet, just copy the whole lot. Okay, so you copy the whole spreadsheet into the sheet here. This is a Google spreadsheet now that you need, so you will need a Google account for this. In this template, you paste it into the sheet that's called questions. So you can see here is my copy, and what it then does is it chooses 12 random questions, again out of those 200 they have already done, because I need to also fill in this yellow box here. So in this case I've said they've learned up to question 113, so it will choose those out of the first 113, and then you go to the link, and now is where the fun starts. So it takes you to the Flippity website, where you get a lot more different games. So you can have some flashcards, you can share this as a link to the students as well, which is great, so they could answer the questions here by writing it in. They can do a matching game, and then if you click more, there are even more things. You can print bingo cards, you can make a crossword. A really fun one is the quiz show, so you can put students into teams. You can even have less or more teams. So let's say we have 4 teams, so team 1 could say, oh, I want 100 heart, and then they get a question, and the teacher then has to say if it was correct or not, and you get a fun game show noise there as well. So lots of different activities you can do on Flippity, randomizer wheel, and so on. So really, just by creating this spreadsheet once, you get all these different games. So you can play a different game every lesson. Another little tip for the how to create the table of content. So this is a bit more complicated. There might be an easier way of doing it, but I haven't found it yet, so please let me know if you've got one. So what you do is you copy the number. So it's quite important that they are numbered correctly, so make sure that you don't have any skipped numbers, because otherwise it will create a problem on the games. So if you need to number them again, just fill in the first 3, and then you can drag down this number and this corner of the green box, and then it will automatically number them. Okay, so to make the table of content, you copy the number and the topic, and you just create a new spreadsheet, copy them in there. And now I want to go to Insert, Pivot Table. I want to click here existing worksheet, so I just want to put it next to there, and I click OK. Now I need to make sure that number and topic is checked, and down here in values we want value field setting to minimum. Okay, so this shows me now that hello starts on number 1 and age starts on number 17, and so on. If I also want the end number, I need to do the whole thing again. Maybe there's an easier way, but I don't know it yet. So you highlight these again, go to Insert, Pivot Table, make sure it's existing table again. We'll just put it next to the other one, do the whole thing again, but this time in the value we want max, so the last number it is. So I can now see that hello goes from 1 to 16. So I can I would just copy the whole lot and insert it as text only, so as the values only. So go to paste options and use this one. So now I can delete the row labels because I had it twice, and in this case it has kept it in the right order, but sometimes it will sort it alphabetically. Actually, it has sorted it alphabetically, it's just because it has numbers. So if that happens, you click on the minimum number and go to sort and filter smallest to largest, and then it will put it in the right order. So now you've got this, you just copy the whole thing up to down there. We don't need the blanks or the total. Go back to your questions, and then you can paste it in here, and it will make it much easier to find which number you've got up to. So you don't need to scroll down to find out where you were, but you can just see here which unit or which module you've covered so far. I would recommend making the topics relatively short, So don't use a whole topic if it takes you a term or something, because then you can't break it down enough. So it's better to have a subtopic for each kind of double page if you can, because then it means you can practice those before you've finished the whole module. So smaller topics is better.